Let me give you analogy between communication between two computers and communication between human beings. So these two are closely related. So if you understand this, then you can also understand the communication between computers very effectively. That's what my goal. So what we do is, let's say, so far we just learned that computers can be connected as a network, right? So this is your network. That's it. So how to connect them? Already I taught you. Through mesh topology we can connect them. Every system is connected to everything. Otherwise use star topology, otherwise bus topology, otherwise ring topology and connect them, but where your medium is shared medium. What is the problem with shared medium? When the medium is shared, then everyone should know when is their turn, correct? Otherwise collision will happen. Of course we will be studying that in very detailed way, don't worry. At this moment in shared medium generally, so let's relate this shared medium to our physical communication. Example, Raju and Rani are living in a colony, same colony. So we are not understanding the communication between two people who are distantly located, like one is in America, one is in Africa. So whenever a person in America wants to send something to a person in Africa, there are a lot of issues, right? So I mean, how communication happens, I'm talking about, let's say, sending a parcel. To send a parcel, so that parcel should go through lot of phases, isn't it? That's why it will be complex. Don't try to understand. First of all, start with a simple model where Raju and Rani belongs to same colony. Rules, I mean, so communication is quite simple, where they are almost physically connected. How they are connected, I will tell you. There is a common road here, this is medium. That is what we learned so far, correct? When there is a common medium, that means Raju and Rani can communicate. That means they can send parcels, anything through this road. Okay. So there are only four houses. I mean, I'm not showing that, but you can imagine that there are two more people because it's shared medium. So how we can imagine shared medium, I will tell you. This is Rakesh and this is, let's say, Vani. So everyone sees, whenever they want to, they will be somehow connected to this road. So someone from Rakesh family will be waiting here, like, this carrier. So Rakesh also will have one carrier. I will tell you what is the meaning of carrier. Let's say just like imagine that he's an employee. Okay. Now these are all the employees. So Raju has one employee, Rani has an employee, Rakesh has an employee, Vani has an employee. Their goal is very simple. So some parcel or anything, so example, let's say they are sending the parcels or letters. If some letter comes like this, if that is sent by Raju, then this person is there, right? He will see that letter first. If that letter is intended for, Rakesh, immediately he will send that to Rakesh. He will go into the house and he will give that to Rakesh. Okay. Now, if it is not for Rakesh, then definitely he will simply allow it. Then, so at this moment, don't worry who is carrying that, letter. Forget about that. But let's say that letter is coming like this. Someone is, carrying that. First of all, he will ping it. If it is not theirs, their Rakesh letter, then he will forward it. Then it will come to Vani's position. Then Vani's employee will examine it. If it is not Vani's, then he will just forward. He will say go on. One day really Raju is writing letter to Rani, then because they are everyone is having their employee, then this carrier will definitely see that letter. But remember one thing, we should have in the colony, there should be an agreement like this. These people who are employees of Rakesh and Vani, when they see a letter which is not intended for them, they should not read it. One thing, only address they should see, but they should not open and read it. One thing. Second one, they should not tear it. Correct. They should not hide it. If they do that, what happens? Then you violate the protocols of colony. Then we can't have, effective communication, right? Now, that's why for effective communication, there should be some rules in the colony. What are they? Protocols. So that protocols or rules are nothing but one is, so if the letter is intended for a desired person, only that person should take. In that way, let's say Rakesh and Vani are not taking the letters which are not intended for them. In that way, there will be effective communication. But the only problem is at this moment, sir, multiple people at a time can send the letters? No, because it's shared medium. Really, how to imagine shared medium, I will tell you. In this road, there will be only one carrier. Only one person is, carrying the letters. That person can carry the letters of Raju, otherwise Rakesh, otherwise Rani, otherwise Vani. Then, sir, when Rakesh and that Vani will get the turn? Simple. So, at any time, that's why that employees are there, right? They will generally, this is one of the idea I am telling. So don't blindly follow it and don't say that this is the only way, right? This is one of the way. So these employees are going to sense this road like this. Every time they see one empty carrier. So let's say this is the carrier, okay? This carrier, empty carrier, it is going like this, okay? Whenever this carrier is seen by this Rakesh, let's say Rakesh, then employee will stop that carrier, and let's say Rakesh has a letter, then that is now with that carrier, he will keep that letter here and he will allow. Then again this letter he will be forwarded like this, otherwise it will go this side also, okay? So assume that, let's say there is a carrier that is nothing but a automated car, okay? Otherwise a automated communicating, otherwise moving device. So this, whenever you see a moving device, what is the role of moving device? I will tell you. This moving device will start at some point, it will continuously move like this, it will go like this and it will come here, it will go like this until the letter, otherwise the parcel which is holding by that device is taken by others. Quite simple. Now how this device will be used by someone, I will tell you. So whenever Rakesh employee see this empty device, immediately he will hold it, he will stop it, he'll say that wait, I have a work for you. Then he will put a parcel like this, okay, and he will write the address. So whom Rakesh wants to send? Let's say Rakesh wants to send that to Vani. So Rakesh knows what is Vani's address, let's say 500. He will write 500 in that, okay, 500. Now it will start moving again, it will go like this, let's say. Then definitely Vani will see, sir, what if that carrier will go this side? No problem, the device goes this side, but the agreement should be the device should come back. In that way it should oscillate, like it should go left and rightmost. So while going, definitely Vani's employee will see it and he will take it, but no others will take it, correct? In that way we can devise this plan. Now I don't want to worry about it. So let me remove that Rakesh and Vani and their employees, everything. So what I would like to tell you is, let's say at this moment, let's say Raju has some letter, he wants to send it to Rani. For that Raju has now control. Otherwise we can do one more thing. They can share the medium like this. Example, there is a device, right? They can take for rent. Example, Raju is going to use that from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, in that way. Rakesh can use from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. In that way, everyone can share this device, correct? So that there will not be any collision, right? So there will not be any problem. Only one person is going to come send a letter to others, correct? Now at this moment, we imagine that Raju's turn it is. Raju has a letter. And now this medium is acquired by Raju, because time is now 9:30. It is nothing but between 9 to 10. So now always between 9 to 10, only Raju can use this road. Okay, now we'll come to communication medium, and what is postman and who is this carrier, everything. So why these many people? Why not Raju can do everything? That means what? Raju has to write the letter. Example, Raju wants to write a letter to Rani, then he can directly do like this. How? Raju writes a letter, writes address, and he will take that and he will come to road and he will travel this entire thing. What if the distance between Raju and Rani is 5,000 kilometers? Anything can happen, right? Theoretically. Otherwise, what if Raju doesn't know where Rani is located? Then he cannot write the letter. So that's a problem. One more problem. Let's say Raju doesn't have legs and he is not expert in walking. Then, so that's why what we do is, it will mess up the things. If any only one person does everything, it will generally mess up everything in the life. Example, I will give you one more example where you can mess up everything. You are preparing for GATE. So when you are preparing for GATE, what you can do is, so you can prepare at the same time, you can, though you are preparing for GATE, still you eat food, right? Then that food you can prepare on your own. If you do that, for breakfast you will be wasting 2 hours of time, for lunch you will be wasting 3 hours of time, and you are not expert on that, correct? That's why generally as a student, when you are preparing for GATE, then only you focus on reading GATE subjects and everything, but you never focus on, how to effectively cook breakfast, how to effectively cook lunch, everything. If you also do that, then all the functionality is on you. If you don't depend on others, then what happens? If something misses, example, let's say you don't know how to cook breakfast, then everything will collapse and it will be ineffective. What today you tried cooking something, but if it doesn't work, that means you are not able to cook properly, then entire system will be bad, correct? That's a bad design I'm saying. I'm not saying that you will die because of hunger, but I'm saying that so unnecessarily you are having a burden. So that is not a good design. That's why what we do generally, we focus on our work. And whenever you want to have breakfast, generally, let's say, assume that, let's say you have the capability, then we can hire, otherwise we can go to hotel and they will cook something and we eat and come back. In that way, we will be maintaining modularity level by level. That means though you are eating food and you are wearing clothes, everything, but you are not doing everything on your own. You are only preparing for gate and someone will cook for you, someone will wash your clothes for you, isn't it? In that way. So that's why that will be the best design, right? Similarly here also. So you have now two people, Raju and Rani wants to communicate. That means they are better, they are best at communication. That means they want to, do some chat or something. That means Raju wants to send some letters to Rani and Rani is going to reply for that. In that model, what Raju realized is Raju wants to spend all the 24 hours of his life per day in writing the letters, not in sending and worrying about whether they are successfully reached or not. That's why he hired one person called postman. So now he is having a dedicated postman, try to understand. Now similarly, postman is going to have career. I will tell you the reason. Now what is the relation between Raju and this postman? I will tell you first. So Raju is talking to postman like this. My dear postman, why I hired you, right? The reason, I want to focus on this writing the letters. What you do is, you please ensure that every letter is written by me should reach, it is reaching Rani. If you ensure that, then you will be hired. That means, you will get salary and incentives, everything. So that is the responsibility. At any cost, you should be reliable. You never miss a letter because every letter is important for Rani. So if that is the case, then really postman is reliable. Then what he has to do? Every letter given by Raju should be sent to Rani. Okay, remember it. But postman is also not expert in communication, but he is good at what then? So he is good at ensuring that whether every letter is reached to other end or not. That's it. Because he doesn't know what kind of communication medium it is and how generally letters can be sent to the other side. For that, he is hiring a carrier. How carrier is different from postman, I will tell you. Postman is a little bit educated. He know how to count the letters and he knows some extra stuff. I will tell you that. He is educated, let's say. Okay. Now Raju is well educated. Now he is writing the letters, but postman is enough educated. Now carrier is not educated. He's just dumb, but he know how to send some goods from one place to another place. For that, he has a communication medium, that is pigeon. Though it looks weird, but pigeon is good for us. Okay, so how this pigeon is going to send our letters from one position to another position, I will tell you. This carrier is going to operate this pigeon. He is expert in training pigeon. So how he will do, I will tell you. First, let's take a letter. Letter 1, Raju gives to postman. Postman will remember it and he will copy it somewhere. Why? Because he is going to give that letter to carrier and carrier is going to give to pigeon. Then what if pigeon takes that letter and it leaves forever? That will be dangerous thing, right? Then definitely postman will lose the job. Really he want to be reliable. Then what he has to do? He has to copy that letter. Let's say he has a copy of letter 1. Why, sir? If let's say one possibility, carrier takes that letter and it gives to pigeon and pigeon took it and it flew away. If it never comes, then still postman has a letter copy. He will send that letter again to pigeon. He will again give to the carrier, right? So that's why if really you want to be reliable, you should maintain a copy. So redundancy. Now this carrier is going to, we'll see the communication between postman and carrier. Postman says like this, my dear carrier, I'm not believing you, but I don't have option. You are the only pigeon trainer here. So I will give letter to you. You just send it to other side. But if you lose, I know that means sometimes your pigeons will flew away, but still not a problem. I have another copy. I will bring it again. But whenever I bring it again, one more copy I maintain. In that way, always he maintains a copy. We will see how this works. Now, so this carrier is not educated, but he knows how to train the pigeons and everything. Okay. So that's why now he's focused. He doesn't know he doesn't know how to count the letters, how to see the addresses, everything. Okay. And he doesn't know whether that letter reaches to other end or not. He doesn't want to take care of that, all these things. He brought up in a way so that only given a letter, he can send to other side. Okay. Now what this pigeon is going to do, I will tell you. So that carrier will give that letter to this pigeon. Okay. Now that letter pigeon will go like this slowly. Anyone can catch that pigeon. It's not afraid of that. So in between Rakesh is having same kind of employee post. I mean, let's say sorry carrier. So this carrier is specially designed for Raju. Okay, Raju's carrier. Similarly, so I can say that this postman employed this carrier. Similarly, Rakesh is also having a postman, and postman will have again carrier. That carrier can call this pigeon while coming. Let's say this pigeon is coming like this. There is a carrier, right? He will stop that pigeon. Stop pigeon, and he will take the letter and he will see whether it is intended for Rakesh or not. If it is not intended for Rakesh, then he will simply ask that pigeon to go on. Then the pigeon will slowly, eventually it will come here. This carrier will understand that it is for Rani, because there will be an address. That's why addresses are important. Don't worry. Every person, every house has an address. Everybody, this carrier, everyone knows the addresses. So this carrier knows the address of Raju. Let's say 100. Rakesh's address is 200. Rani's address is 300. Now, based on this address, so this this address, I mean this letter is going to right place. Now eventually this pigeon comes here, but there should be one common understanding. What is that? In this colony where they are living, this carrier should not take the letter of others. Like what if this carrier takes that letter and if he tears off, right? That's not a good thing. So they are really reliable. This carrier also will see the letter, and if it is only intended for Rakesh, then only he will take. Otherwise he will ask carrier to move. Then if that is the case, definitely carrier will bring the letter here and it will reach Rani slowly. Correct? How carrier will take that letter and he will give to postman, because he is hired by that postman to there will be a communication to Rani. So carrier never communicate with Rani. Such a way they plan their ideas. Okay. Now the only thing is, sir, then why to maintain this copy? We can do one thing, right? Directly whatever the letter comes to postman, directly postman give that to carrier, right? Why we have to maintain the copy? Already I told you, it's not because of carriers. Carriers are perfect. They are taking their letters only, but this pigeon is nothing but a physical medium, I can say. This pigeon is not reliable. Sometimes pigeon will flew away and it won't come back. Sometimes in between, some the other people like the kids who are playing around here, they will stop so that means they are not carriers. Some kids which are nothing but some unexpected people, I can say. These kids who are playing there, they can simply kill that pigeon. So letter is gone. Correct? So otherwise they will simply what they can do is they can take the letter and they modify it. What happens, we'll see. If you are not reliable, so one problem you get is Raju is writing a letter like this. In that letter it is like this: I like you. So Raju is writing a letter to Rani with I like you. Then that I like you is taken by postman and it is given to carrier. The carrier's pigeon is carrying now. So but these kids who are nothing but not part of this rules or anything, so these kids can take that letter and they can write in the place of like hate, and as it is they will send this pigeon. Now this time whenever pigeon comes here, then the different image will, otherwise different message will reach Rani. How to avoid that? So what is that here? Of course, yes, kids can do that kind of things, right? But how it is related to our communication problem, we will see. Yes, we can relate it. Now slowly you are understanding that we should not believe on this pigeon. For that, this postman is going to maintain the copy. That's perfect. Sir, if you have copy, how it will be helpful for you? Simple. This postman maintains a copy, right? So first time that copy example, how successfully he is sending the letter, we will see. He will give that to carrier. Carrier will give it to pigeon. Then pigeon will come in between. Something happens. Like letter is not reached to this carrier. What happens? Postman will understand that. How he understands? Because postman is waiting for that's why here one thing you should understand, of course, there should be a communication between, let's remove this Rakesh at this moment. There should be a communication between this postman and this postman, logically, like Raju and Rani. What should be such communication? I will tell you. My dear postman, let's say postman A says to postman B like this: my dear B, see, we are very important because we should not lose the letters. That means whenever I send a letter to you, through, of course, I am not directly coming. So the letter 1 I am logically sending, of course that comes through like this, through carriers, correct? But whenever that letter comes to you, and if you are happy with that, that means if there are no mistakes. So one more thing, there are two things. First of all, we talk about, let's say, one thing, mistakes. If mistake happens, so postman should recognize. We will see how, example, these kids are going to write something on that letters, right? If the kids change like to hate, what this postman has to do? So they have a common understanding. That is, this postman is saying like this, my dear A, don't worry. If I don't get the correct letter, I will know that, because that is envelope, right? So if someone modifies that, for that they have to open it. When they open it and they close it, I know about kids, so they definitely do in wrong way. Then I will understand that, I will simply tear that letter, and again I ask like this. So I ask like this, please send one more letter. In that way I will ask. Whenever I ask, please send one back. Whenever I ask, please send it back. In that way there will be communication. So we never have this kind of problem. What is that? A wrong message reaches to this postman from this to here because of this wrong medium. Then what this postman will say? He will say send it again. Second thing, some second case is what this postman doesn't get it, then also they will send it. I mean, again this postman asks this postman that, my dear postman, so I did not get anything, then please send it back. So this is nothing but called, let's say, access control. Let me write it. So let's remember it, access control. Sorry, it's error control. One is error control. How this error control will be managed between postman and postman, you think about it, because we are not studying, these protocols, right? This is only analogy. In analogy we should not go in depth, right? But definitely, if you, whatever you understand here, just ask yourself, there are two postmen, they have to successfully communicate the letters. That means this postman has to send letters successfully. For that, how these postmen should have a common agreement, what are the rules they should impose is one thing, right? That is actually called error control. How these postmen will do error control? Second thing, sometimes what happens, I will tell you. This Raju is writing and writing and writing forever. Let's say he has written 1000 letters. Okay, then. So the duty of this postman is to send that 1000 letters, correct? So while sending, what can happen? See, seriously, this postman is sending every letter through carrier, and this pigeon is sending it. But what might happen is, this postman may be busy sleeping somewhere, because he is just human being, right? So he will work only from 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Sometimes this postman may not be available. That means he is not active. So when he is not active, this carrier also is not active. Otherwise, this carrier is not active, anything. So we assume that, let's say, this postman is not active, because we have to see the communication between these two. Then whatever the letter this carrier gives to postman, because he is sleeping, he can't remember, he will throw it away in the sleep. So that means if thousands of letters if you send, if he is not ready, then you should not send. First of all, one thing I can say, that this postman always should ask this postman, are you ready, and how many letters you can take at this moment. Otherwise, let's move from letters to parcels. Raju is sending gift packets to Rani, very big size. Okay, now this postman, every gift is taken by this postman and he is sending. So let's ignore this part, because we know that the way will be same, but we see logical communication between these 2 points. Okay, now forget about this. Postman is sending gift number 1 from here to here, of course through indirectly from here, but we abstract it. This is called hiding the details. Finally, so postman is sending a gift 1 to here. Then this postman took it. He said thank you. Immediately this postman sent one more gift. This postman again took it and he kept it in second hand. He said thank you. Then immediately this postman A sent one more gift. Because he is fast sender. This postman is very efficient and very fast. But this postman is not fast, because this Rani is not responding. This Rani is very slow. Because of that, this postman is also very slow. Because so far, so this postman has not sent 1, 2 to Rani, because she was very slow. Then now in this moment, postman is having 2 letters with, 2 gifts with him. So now he is not able to take the another third one. So what to do then? Then if you send, what happens? See, this carrier will take it and this carrier will send it to this carrier. That carrier will simply give it to postman. He will keep on his head. This is nothing but, so if you send 1000 gifts to a slow postman, what happens? You can imagine. So he cannot take it. Some of them he will throw in the frustration, correct? Now sir, if you send 1000 gift boxes, then this postman can hold them, right? Where? Maybe in his house. But house, how generally postman will have one single room, assume that. Otherwise he has two rooms. What if the number of gifts are more than the size of the room of this postman? That means postman can accommodate some of the gifts temporarily before submitting them to Rani. But let's say this postman's capacity, he can only handle 1000 gifts. What if this Raju sends 10,000 gifts? So that 10,000 gifts come to postman. Since he is very fast, quickly he will send everything. But this postman may not be ready, right? We should take care of that. That is called flow control. The control flow between this postman and this postman should be controlled. That is called flow control. Third one. So what is the third one is, if you see, let's say Raju is sending very lengthy letter like this. It's very lengthy letter. It is having at least 100 pages if you measure in pages. Okay. Now that is given to this postman. This postman gives that to carrier. Now the problem is this pigeon cannot hold that 100-page letter, because the capacity of pigeon, right? So this pigeon can only take 1 page. If you give 100 pages, what happens? In between itself it will throw it. So but don't worry, our postman has a trick. What is that? He is copying that 100 pages, or let's take 1000 pages. So that 1000 pages he is copying. First of all, it takes some time, right? Yes, still he will waste the time, and again that copy whatever he has, he will give to carrier again. But this time this pigeon again, because same problem, because of the 1000 pages, it's very it is having lot of weight. Then in between again this pigeon will throw it again. Any number of times you send, let's say 10 times it is throwing like this because of this lengthy thing, correct? Then that 1000 pages you are unnecessarily sending 10 times, right? Then you are wasting lot of time, and you remember one thing. This line is given for you only from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, correct? And for every page you send, this carrier might charge, correct? That's why we should be careful. That's why what we do is, what is the problem? Whenever there are 1000 pages and something, what happens, I will tell you one more problem. There are kids, right? So one more problem is, this kid is going to modify the letter. Example, there are 1000 pages, right? So in that 1000 pages, whenever pigeon comes, this small kid is stopping it and simply he is modifying one bit like this, 0 to 1. Then this postman will reject it. Again he will ask. He will say like this: my dear postman A, you sent a letter but kid opened it. Then again that entire message has to be sent, correct? So it is not effective way. So then what is effective way? The effective way, if whatever the message which is given by Raju, if this postman divides it into some parts like this, 1 page. Okay. Now if he maintains the pages, it would be good. Why, sir? If there are 1000 pages, okay. Now each, because already Raju's message size 1000 pages, it is divided into pages, usually called frames. Okay. Now this postman is dividing them into frames. He is sending frame wise, frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, frame 4, so on. Now in this scenario, while sending, what happened? The kid, whoever is playing here, so he is not always modifying. Eventually, or some very rarely he is doing that whenever their parents are not seeing it, correct? So now in this process, 6th letter, when it was carrying by pigeon, he modified it in the 6th letter some part. Now see the situation. That postman will realize it and he will say, my dear A, out of that very long message, I got everything, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but please resend 6. Is it not the good idea? In the previous case, so you sent entire message, right? But here, because you divided them into frames, then your postman was able to recognize on which some small sub area that error has happened, correct? That's why always it will be good to divide that into some parts, right? Generally when you change your house, all your household items will be, packed, right, into some fixed size things, right? But do you think that entire your house items will be packed in one and will be moved? No, right? In the same way. So this is about a communication system between two people, Raju comma Rani, correct? Now here you have seen error control, flow control, and one more thing you have seen, that is framing. We have to divide the letter into frames, correct? Now carrier is not intelligent, we should not depend on carrier. So postman is little bit intelligent and Raju is high level person. He is going to focus on how to write the message, whether it is in English or Hindi or Urdu. So this postman is focusing on how to send the letters effectively without losing the letters. This carrier is focusing on how to send that letter from here to here, how to train the pigeon. Tomorrow if there is a suddenly a new thing comes, like he want to change from pigeon to, suddenly to automated device. So this device is having some wheels and it is automatically moving from here to here without driver. Let's say driverless car. So he might be using the driverless car, correct? So now this carrier is going to specialize in this one. See the advantage. So without changing Raju's abilities, postman's abilities, this carrier can improve on his own and he can change from pigeon to driverless car. Now still Raju can write same letters. If it is driverless car, otherwise pigeon, whatever it is, Raju's behavior is not changed and Raju should not worry about how to write the letters because now it is driverless. No, right? That's why Raju's writing does not depend on this driverless car. Similarly, this postman's duties, the communication between this postman and this postman does not depend on this carrier, whether it's driverless car. Such a way, if you can design your communication, is it not good? It will be wonderful. That is what even this computer networks people did. Finally, now come to our communication. In the place of Raju, Rani, Rakesh, Vani, we have 4 computers. Okay, same thing we will see now.